for example, to get a trouser for you, and then she walks back with the trouser. Or you go to the shop, look around, you go with vision of what you want, but seeing what is possible to buy, you change your mind and you get a better one, finally.
Usually the problem is not at the top, I agree, it's in the middle, because top people are really clever, and if you check any single book about good management written in the last per year, none of them is saying that you should do command and control, or you won't find how to micromanage my people in 10 easy lessons and stuff like that.
If you actually trace it back, and if you look at then when the management community started realizing that micromanagement was a bad idea and documentation was a bad idea and all sorts of stuff, we knew those things long before waterfall development became popular. As an industry, we ignore what's going on everywhere else because we're convinced that we're special and the laws of physics don't apply to us. And until we get that out of our heads, we will never succeed as an industry. And we allowed this to happen. And people just lined up for this, even though all the evidence was against waterfall development and all this traditional stuff. We lined up for it and we did it. If you read the original waterfall paper, it says that it's a highly risky thing and that only absolutely trivial projects should be done waterfall.
Winston Royce, 1971.
Yeah, in the mid-70s. Yeah. So, yet for some reason that evidence was, that good advice was ignored because that's not what people wanted to hear. They wanted to hear that software development was an engineering thing. It was like building a bridge. All these good sort of, knowing nothing about building bridges, everybody assumed, oh yeah, it must be like building a bridge. Well, I'm sorry, I don't think a bridge project has ever come in on time and on budget. It doesn't work that way. I've talked to people who build bridges, and they just laugh at this concept of working to a plan. That's crazy. The plan changes because you start, it's just the way it is. I've got friends who are architects, and they're completely frustrated with all the projects they've ever been involved with because they've got this amazing vision up front, and then reality starts in because the budget gets cut, laws of physics start to apply. You can't have these really cool buildings that are 3 miles tall. And it's hilarious. If you look back, search online and look at the original plans for the Peace Towers in New York that are supposed to replace the Twin Towers. Totally different. That thing has evolved so many times now because of budgetary concerns, reality, like laws of physics did in fact apply there, and things like that. And I'm sure if we were to hunt down, the original architect, he's totally frustrated now because his vision, he might not even evolve anymore. He's probably walked off, and that's a common thing to have happen in the architecture community. Architects walk off because forget this, it's too messed up.
How do you compete in a competition, let's say, in a tender, with a competitor who, let's say, that I'm using a waterfall model, and of course the client doesn't know what the difference between waterfall and agile model, and he promises that I will finish at this time, I will be with budget and so on and so on. And if you are more or less honest and you say that it's not very wise to predict the end date of the project, and not very wise to predict the budget of the project, or I can predict it with some so how can you compete with them?
You might choose not to, or you might choose to go at risk, right? So you need to make a good estimate and decide, do you want this business? Are you prepared to lose money in case things go badly? So that's the business decision that you need to make.
If you start a contract with a fixed time and fixed budget, and you force the client to communicate with you, since I don't think that if you go up with some product delivery, that please check this one and tell your story, that how do you like it or not. And then if it's a half year or 1 year project, and you go there every month or every 2 months and showing up something, and then okay, do you want to continue by the end of the term? we can continue this. You tell me the stories. We can make the change management. So get used to it. You know, it's the same process. Sorry.
You have a contract with them.
Yes.
What's happening?
Yes. So
But you signed it. You
Change.
signed it. That was your choice, right? Were you forced to sign
change the
that
contract.
What's
you have-
happening if you break that contract? I mean, don't tell me that in Waterfall we will always on time and schedule.
Of course they won't.
So
but
what happened then?
They just. I think the verse is that they just even the competitor doesn't know that he will fail.
Okay.
That's one. Or that's the verse, I guess.
No, that's the best case. The competitor wins and fails and goes out of business.
Then you can move
That's
in and
beautiful.
save them.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and
Go back 6
demand
months
the
later.
triple price.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've done stuff like that. I actually lost, I lost bids like that. And I said, and knowing full well who won it, I said, here's what's going to happen. Because, particularly once you start competing against certain companies, you know exactly how they're going to screw things up, right?
Exactly.
So then you can say, and you just say, you know what, I'm sorry I didn't get your business this time, but I think here's what's going to happen. I think, and about the 6-month point, I'm going to give you a call, and because this is the situation you're going to be in, and at that point, I can help you.
And the other thing is if you...
And I'm going to charge a ton of materials because you'll be so desperate, and you've got to and I've done stuff like that.
Yeah.
And because that's fair, right? And you
Absolutely.
say, hey, you know what? And you say, you might want to take this as a learning example, and you do that. But and some clients appreciate that, some do not. But that's still okay. It's still
Good
come on
money.
6 months later, anyways. Oh yeah, yeah, it's excellent money. They're totally desperate.
Absolutely. You can go in on your own terms. You are the one who says the requirements from that point on. Well, not the requirements, but the environment. You can set the environment. You can set up everything so that you have a really productive environment where you can really get your work done. Whereas if you start from the beginning, you have some restrictions imposed on you due to there is no pressure yet on the customer. But what I wanted to say to your question, if you try to compete with someone who is adopt his advertising that he's using the waterfall, I'm sure nobody advertises that they're using the waterfall, so you can only speculate about this, but most of the time you will be right.
Yeah.
And what you can say here is that you assume that most of your competitors are using the waterfall method, and I think all of us have used the waterfall method already, so we can do an estimate, or we can estimate what our competitors will cost it. You can write it down, and you say, this is not our estimate, this is the estimate we expect from our competitors. We don't do that estimation because, and then you can address your customer directly, and I think this always, it works because you're personally involving, even through such bids, is also gives you a personal touch. And you can say that, how many times have you been contracting already this kind of work, and how many times were the contractor right up on the price and on the time? And telling only these things and then saying that you will be able to give a much more accurate estimate on these issues after 2 or 3 sprints, which might be 1 or 1.5, 2 months or something like that. You can write that down. And you also have the waterfall estimate in your bid. So actually you have covered all your bases without really estimating your own work in the waterfall model. And this is something that can work quite well.
I think one important point is that if you can produce really working software, then you can convince within 2 weeks the customer. For example, last time I had the chance to offer to compete for a larger project, and I said, if you don't believe me, then try me. I will cover this 2 weeks. And we started to work together. They specified the acceptance test, and we delivered. And they say, hey, okay, they delivered something. We can go ahead. And you can always say, then if you are not satisfied with me, you can cut down the project, finish the project. But you always have some useful. This is, I think, very important in XP, that you have always produced something useful, some business value.